Hello everyone, I am Mr. Ashok Kumar. I work for IBM as a technical team lead. I did my engineering in Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore from Information Science and Engineering Department. As an alumni of the college, I would like to share my experience during my tenure with the college. So from the day I have been admitted to the college till the day I graduated out of it, it's been a wonderful journey for me. It's not just for me, it's for every student out there. This college gives a lot more than what a typical student expects. So I am a gold medalist from this college, and we have also done a project in Indian Institute of Science, IISc Bangalore, and which came out as a huge success, all because of the support, guidance, technical help from this college. So coming to the infrastructure, this college have an acre and acre of properties which has been used to build high-tech classroom, laboratories, seminar hall, placement cell, so library, food complex, sports ground, and whatnot. And the teachers out there, I would be thankful for each one of them throughout my lifetime. So that's because they are passionate, they are dedicated, and most importantly, they motivate us. So they made us to start love learning. So we learned a really lot of things in a fun way. So I would be really thankful for them. And the placement opportunities are excellent. So every year there are multiple companies visiting the college, all MNCs, and I have been placed into IBM as part of the campus interview opportunity provided by the college within the campus itself. So once again, I would really be thankful to my college. Thanks again.
Good evening to one and all. I, Dr. N.P. Netravati, Professor and HOD, Department of Information Science and Engineering, on behalf of Janata Education Society and Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore, welcome you all for today's webinar on cloud instance creation and application deployment on Amazon Elastic Cloud, organized by the Department of Information Science and Engineering, Vivekananda Institute of Technology, Bangalore. It's my great pleasure to welcome resource person Mr. Ashok Kumar K. And also I would like to announce that Mr. Ashok Kumar K. is alumni of VKIT. Graduated in 2010 from ISC department, and Mr. Ashok Kumar K. is a gold medalist. Currently working as a technical lead at IBM India Software Labs. And he's having 10 plus years of corporate experience in software development process. 2 patents filed with IBM, handled numerous workshops and seminars on latest technologies in 30 plus colleges, guided 2000 plus students teams for their academic projects development, authored a textbook titled An Elementary and Constructive Approach to Java or J2E as per VTU syllabus. With this introduction, I would like to welcome Mr. Ashok Kumar K. Welcome you, Ashok.
Thanks, ma'am.
I'm delighted to welcome our beloved principal, Dr. Kumar Kenchigoda, sir. Welcome you, sir. I cordially welcome our Vice Principal, Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar, sir. Welcome you, sir. I also welcome heads of all the department, teaching and non-teaching staff of VKIT and participants. I welcome you all for this webinar. Definitely, I will assure that participants will be benefited from this webinar. If you have any queries during this webinar, kindly drop those in chat box and it will be answered at the end during questions and answer session. Now, I would like to hand over the session to resource person, Mr. Ashok Kumar K. Ashok Kumar, you can start the presentation. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So let me know once you are able to see my screen. I'm just sharing it right away. One moment, please. Okay, can someone confirm if my screen is visible to the audience?
Yes, sir. Yes, Ashok, it is visible. Priyanka, it is visible, ma? It is visible, Ashok.
Hello, ma'am.
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
tell me, Kusma.
No, ma'am, it's not visible, ma'am.
It is not visible. Ashok, here it is displaying actually.
Maybe a little streaming buffer.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I can.
Netravati, ma'am, add the screen, ma'am. Share screen. Have to add.
Now visible, ma'am.
Yeah, now it is visible, Ashok.
Okay. Okay, so I think now I can get started.
Yeah.
So thanks, Pratham ma'am, for a quick introduction about me. So that was a good one. So I think we can get started right away. So before we get started, I would request the other attendees to go on mute. Okay, so now I don't see any disturbance. Fine. So this is going to be a little long session, so because it's going to be completely technical and it depends upon how good the network is and how good the Amazon instance over cloud responds to me. So, but still, I would ensure that this long session would be definitely helpful to whoever is watching this. So, and also, so I would also like you people to download the materials from here. So where I've uploaded all the the softwares required and also the code. So even though the code we will be developing here live, on the go. So if you don't want to type it along with me, if you just wanted to use the readily available code, yeah, just go to this Google Drive and get downloaded. Okay. So this is the agenda for this particular workshop. So first, what we are going to do right away is that we are going to develop some sample application. So it's going to be a Java-based server-side application which will be executed in the local host. So that means in the standalone machine, in my machine, right? So and then the target is that that application has to be deployed live on the cloud, so that anyone and everyone across the world should be capable of accessing that application. So to do that, we are making use of Amazon Cloud Service. So there are numerous other cloud service providers like OpenShift, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, and there are many more. But I would stick to Amazon Web Service because of most widely used and good community support and easy to deploy. Okay, so that means you can, if you learn just deployment of one cloud machine, so more or less it will be similar for other cloud machines as well. So after creating that cloud machine, so we will have to establish the connection from our machine, our local laptop to the cloud instance, so that the code that is written in my standalone machine will be uploaded onto that cloud machine. So for that reason, we will make use of this SSH and SFTP connections. So which again, I will be showing you hands-on how to do that from our standalone machine. And once that cloud instance is ready, and once that cloud instance is reachable from our standalone machine, we are good to go and deploy that sample application on the cloud. So here in the first step, the application will be running in our local machine, and here we will make the same application to run on the cloud machine. And once the application is running on cloud, so if time permits, this is a very simple thing. So I'll show you how we can convert that, the browser-based application into an Android application. So generating an APK file for that. So no code required. So there are a lot of frameworks available online. So I'll just show you how you can, do that. Okay, so now I think we can get started. So now let me show you the sample application development. So this is going to take around 30 minutes and then another 30 to 45 minutes for the cloud deployment. Fine. So let me explain what this sample application has to be, how it has to work like before we go ahead and develop it. So assume that you got a requirement from the customer, okay, who want the screen something like this. Okay, you wanted to hit one URL. It's basically a web application. So you wanted to hit an URL. As soon as you hit some URL, right? So this is the page the customer want to see. So basically, you can see the left hand side there are some 3 menus, and right hand side there is a content. Okay, so the content will just welcome the user with some title and the college name. And now assume that when the user clicks on the second menu tables, when the user clicks on the second menu table, so a form will be shown up like this. Okay, so enter the rows and enter the columns. And now assume that if the user enters the rows 3 and columns as 4, and when he clicks on generate tables, so a dynamic table will be generated like this based on the values entered by the user. So user have entered 3 and 4 here. So 3 cross 4 table has been generated here. So you can see row 1 to row 3, 3 rows, and column 1 to column 4, 4 columns. So depending upon the input, so the dynamic table has to be generated. So this is just an example for the sample application, because we want some application to be deployed on cloud. So, and then when the user clicks on colors, okay, when the second menu here, so when the user clicks on colors, so another form will be opening up, which will ask the user to choose the foreground color and choose the background color. So if the user chooses the background color as red and the foreground color as blue, depending upon his input, so the render should be happening. So you can see this entire the main content so has been painted with background red and the foreground blue. That depends upon the input given by the user. Okay, so this is the sample requirement so that we got from the customer. In fact, the table generating the dynamic table one was one of the interview question in Amazon for freshers. Okay, so now let's go ahead and develop this application in our local machine first, and then let us go ahead and deploy that sample application onto Amazon cloud machine. Okay, so let's get started with that development of application in the local machine. So to do that, so you will be requiring some softwares, so which I have already uploaded to that Google Drive link. So if you open that Google Drive link, basically you'll be getting 2 folders, the softwares and the codes. Okay, so softwares, you will be requiring JDK to be installed. So just double click, next, finish. That's it. So the other 3, I will tell you what has to be done. These 3 are belonging to some cloud configuration. Okay, so but for now, before you proceed further with this video, so you need to get this JDK to be installed. I have already installed it. So assuming you have also done it, the next thing to do is, so I'll be opening my Eclipse. Okay, so you can see in the Google Drive, you will be seeing the archived version of Eclipse. You just have to extract it. So first thing you need to do whenever you see a zip file is unzipping it, right? So as soon as you unzip it, so you just launch Eclipse. So whenever you launch Eclipse, so it will pop up with the input, so asking you to select the workspace. So we're just waiting for the pop-up. Okay, so it looks like it's hanged in this machine. So I'm going to kill it and launch it from elsewhere. Because when we load Eclipse for the first time, so it has to lay down a lot of temporary files. It will take some time. So I'm launching Eclipse from a different location, so it will be faster. Okay, so you can see So you can see when we launch the Eclipse, it will ask us to select the workspace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, give the workspace name inside my C drive, VKT, and just give some name, VKT workspace. I'm going to launch it. So I think most of you would be already comfortable with using of Eclipse and Tomcat. So I'm just going to speed it up. Okay, so as soon as the Eclipse has been launched, the first thing you need to do is you need to install the Tomcat server within it. So because this is going to be a browser-based application, right? A web application. So you need a server to serve the request, the user browser request. So for that, we will be requiring the Tomcat to be installed. So before we get started with the code, so let's install Tomcat within Eclipse. So we are waiting for Eclipse to load completely. Okay, so now the Eclipse has been completely loaded. So what I'm going to do now is, so I'm going to install Apache Tomcat in it. So in the same, the directory where you downloaded from the Google Drive link, right? So in that, there is a folder called Apache Tomcat. So it's again a zip file. So you will have to extract it. You will be getting the extracted version. So this is the directory where I have extracted Apache Tomcat, right? So I'm going to copy this location. So inside my Eclipse, so I'm going to define Apache server version number 9. So I'm going to click on servers and I'm going to click on that link. It says no servers available. Click this link to create a new one. I'm going to click that. So the server we are looking at is Apache Tomcat 9. So I'm going to expand Apache. I'm going to select Tomcat 9. And here it will ask us where is that we have extracted Apache Tomcat. So I'm going to paste that path which I just copied and finish. Okay, so now the environment is ready. Okay, so the Eclipse is ready, the Tomcat is ready. So we will go ahead and quickly, develop that sample application. So I'm going to create a new. Okay, so this is going to be a dynamic web project. So I'm going to click on new dynamic web project. The application name, I'm going to give it as a sample app, and I'm going to simply click on finish. Okay, so you can see once this is done, towards the left hand side there will be a project called sample app getting created. Yeah, there it is. So and then when I expand that sample app, basically it will contain two ends of operation, the front end code and the back end code. So all your front end code will be written under web content and all your back end code will be written under Java resources when you're dealing with Java. So, but right now to solve this particular problem, right, I don't think you need really any backend things. So because rendering the table and also rendering the colors, it's all happening on the client end only, right? So we don't need the backend code. So we need only the front end code. Okay, that means inside the web content. So I'm just going to create a simple, the front end code. So you all should be knowing the front end code can be either HTML or JSP, something like that. So I'm going to create JSP and I'm going to call it as index.jsp. Okay, so I just created a new index.jsp. So I'm going to remove all of them in case if it's confusing you. I'm going to increase the font size a little bit and I'm going to say within each one. So I'm going to say, so webinar on EC2 cloud instance. And within H2, I'll say Vivekananda Institute of Technology. Okay, so this is my sample, the front end screen. So I just wanted to run this on my server that I just installed. So how do I do that? So I'm just going to right click on that, index.jsp. I'm going to run it on server. I'll choose that server which I just installed and finish. Okay, so once you can see, once this server is started, currently the status of the server is starting. So once the server is started, the output will be seen here. Okay, there you can see a web browser has been popped up, and here we are seeing the front end screen. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that URL and I'm going to run it on a real browser like Google Chrome. Okay, so this is a real browser like Google Chrome, right? So, but instead of localhost, I'm going to give my local IP address 127.0.0.1. This is just my local IP address because for some reasons localhost doesn't work in my machine. So there you can see even on Google Chrome, I'm accessing that page. So, but this is just an project which is running on my local machine, on my within my Eclipse. So if I close off this Eclipse and if I try to access this IP address from a different location, different laptop, no, this doesn't work, right? So our agenda is to deploy this application on a live cloud so that anyone across the globe, across the world will be able to access our applications. So that will be the most interesting part and very easy one, which will add a lot of weightage to your resumes as well. So before we go to that interesting part, right? So let us complete this development of the sample application. Okay. So, but this kind of front end screen looks very, simple. It doesn't contain any style sheets and all those things, right? So what I'm going to do is let me go to Google and let me download some freely available template and let us fit in our requirement into that template. Okay. So Bootstrap is one of the, HTML framework that will provide you wonderful style sheets, inbuilt frame style sheets. So I'm going to go to Google and search for some free templates. Okay, so whichever site you want, you can just go to it. So I just went into the first link out there. So you can see these are some of the templates that they are going to give you for free. Okay, so you can just, there are more templates here. So you can see whichever template you like. So you can just go ahead and download it. So you can see this one looks very simple and it matches with our requirement. So where we need menu towards the left and content towards the right. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to download it because it's available for free of cost. So there you can see the download is happening. I download it inside my C drive, July 24. Okay, so there itself I'm going to download it. So it's very small sized file. You can see it's just around the 1 MB. So the download looks like it's completed. So I'll just go to that folder. This is the downloaded one. So I'm just going to extract it in the same location because it's a zip file. So first thing we all do when we see a zip file is unzip it. So extracted file is here. So there you can see some index.html they have given here. So if you open it, see, we have some very good template. So which is readily developed. So we can just go ahead and use it. So all I'm going to do is index.html, whatever I downloaded. So I'll just copy everything and go back to our Eclipse and paste it here, right? But for this to work, there are some dependent files, CSS and something like this. So I'm going to copy them and paste it in the same location where you have your index.jsp. So I'm just pasting those two things in the same location as that of index.jsp. Done. So now if you go back to your browser, it's just okay. Now if you go back to your browser, and this is how our front end screen looked like earlier, right? Now if I just refresh it, so there you can see that entire template came up here. So now I'll just modify this template to meet our requirement. Okay, so these templates are free and you can reuse it, so there are no license requirements. Okay, so the title I will just change it to week 80. So title is the one which is displaying here at the place where I'm hovering my mouse. Okay, so now if you refresh the screen, so there you can see the title has been updated to Wiki. Okay, and then instead of start bootstrap, okay, so here, okay, instead of start bootstrap, I'll say it's an EC2 webinar, right? Or no, this is the application name, so I'll just say this is a sample app. Okay, so you can refresh, that got changed. Okay, so and the first menu should be home, and the second menu should be tables, and the third menu should be colors, right? So as per our requirement, like this. So no more menus are required, so delete all those things. Okay, and then what else? So here, this is the main title, right? Simple sidebar. Where is that? So simple sidebar here. So here I will say webinar on EC2 cloud instance. Okay, and just below that there's a paragraph. So here I will just say, so Vivekananda Institute of Technology. So if you want one more paragraph, so I'll just add Department of ISC Bangalore. Okay, so now if you go there and refresh the screen, so you can see this is what we wanted. Our home page is done, right? So if we go back to our requirement, so this is how the home page should look like, right? So now what we need to do is, yeah, this is done. So now when the user clicks on table, another page should be opening where we need to display this form, right? So what I'm going to do now, so when user clicks on this tables, we will take him to table.jsp. Okay, when the user clicks on this home, I will take him to index.jsp because that's our first page. When user clicks on this colors, I will take him to color.jsp, like this. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this index.jsp as is, and I'm going to paste it. Now I'm going to change this as table.jsp because even the table.jsp should have the same layout. It shouldn't change any style and all, right? So inside this table.jsp, what I'm going to do is, okay, I'll get a form tag, okay, asking the user to enter rows. Okay, and then I will display a text box where the user can enter the rows. Okay, and then similarly, I'm going to copy this and I will ask the user to enter the columns. Okay, and then after this, I will provide them a submit button. Okay, which says generate table. Okay, so you can see how this looks like in the front end screen. So this is our index.jsp, and when the user clicks on tables, now you can see a form has been displayed asking the user to enter the rows and enter the columns. But this form looks very big, right? It's occupying the entire screen. So there is a small class attribute here, so which says off of the screen. So now it will, if you say class call equal to call-md-6 and then refresh the screen, so you can see this will occupy just half of the screen. Now it is better. Okay, so now when the user enters some value to rows and some value to column like this, when the user clicks on this generate table, right, I will make this form to throw the request to table underscore result.jsp. So that will be the JSP where the result will be displayed. So that means we need one more JSP similar to this. I will call this as table underscore result.jsp. Okay, in table underscore result.jsp, what we need to do, we need to render that dynamic table. Okay, so whatever rows and columns entered by the user, we need to render it. So how do we render the tables in HTML? Using a table tag, right? So I'll say and tr and td. So we all know that tr will be representing rows and td will be representing columns. But how many rows and how many columns should we have? So we need to get that rows and we need to get the columns from this particular field, right? So for that purpose, I'll make use of this request parameter. I'll say rows, and similarly I'm going to say columns. So whatever I'm giving within the double quote here should match with whatever name I have given to those text box. So whatever user enters there, it will go and collected by these couple of variables. Now what I'm going to do, so here I'm going to loop it for int I equal to 1, I lesser than or equal to rows, I plus plus. So these many times I'm displaying rows. So tr has been placed inside these many times. Now, how many columns? So even for this, we need another loop, right? So j equal to 1, j lesser than or equal to columns, and j plus plus. And these many times I'm going to display columns. So you can see tr will be displayed these many times, and td will be displayed these many times. So inside that, what we need to print? We need to print like this: row 1 column comma column 1, like that. So row I comma column j, like this we need to print. But there is something that's not correct here. So you have guessed it right. So this is a Java program and this is an HTML program. So the browser will not be able to distinguish it. So we need to distinguish it. How? Making use of a scriptlet tag. So I will make use of this scriptlet tag to enclose the Java code here, like this. That's all. So the Java code alone, I will place it within scriptlet tag. So but here we need some more code. So because whatever the user enters, right, will be in terms of string. So we will have to typecast it into integer. So I'm going to make use of this typecasting strategy. Done. Okay. So even this for loop is a Java code, right? So I'm going to enclose it within scriptlet tag. And even this for loop is a Java code. I'm going to enclose within the scriptlet tag. And even this single closing brace is also a Java code. So I'm going to enclose within this tag. Even here, one more. Okay. And most importantly, I and j, even these also represents Java variable, right? So they will have to be enclosed within the scriptlet tag. But they should be printed on the browser, right? So I will use expression tag instead, just having an equal to. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to make any changes. Now let's see how this runs. Okay, now you can see I'm running on my local machine. The user clicks on tables. So user will enter 5 rows and 4 columns, generate table. So there we go, we got 5 cross 4 tables, but something is missing, right? Yes, the table border, right? So I'm going to say class equal to table and border equal to 1. Okay, so there you can see, I'll go back, 10 rows and 5 columns. So there you can see, okay, row 1, column 1 till row 10, column 5. So that means 10 rows and 5 columns. So let me quickly test it for 50 rows and 8 columns generated. So there you can see 50 rows and 8 columns. So this is how the dynamic table will be generated. Fine. So let's not spend more time on it. So let's proceed further. So because the most interesting part is still awaited. Okay. So now when I click on colors, so we need to create one more JSP called color.jsp. So I'm going to copy everything from table.jsp because it already contains a form, and I'm going to paste it and I'm naming it as color.jsp. Okay, so inside this color.jsp, what I'm going to do, so inside this form, I will ask enter foreground color. Okay, and here I will ask enter background color. Okay, and the name will be FG. FG indicates foreground, BG indicates background. Okay, and instead of generate table, I'll just say render. And when the user clicks on that render button, we will throw that request to a new JSP page called color result.jsp. So now let's go back to the browser and let us see what happens when you click on colors. Yeah, you can see it is taking to color.jsp, asking us to enter foreground color and background color. Okay. So now when the user clicks on submit, it will take us to color result.jsp. So I'm going to copy everything from index.jsp and create a new JSP, call it as color_result. So here we need to render with appropriate background color and foreground color, right? So you can see here, this is the main content. So where the title and that paragraph is being displayed here, this one. So that means for this division, we need to apply the colors, right? So what are those colors we need to apply? Style equal to color equal to blue. This represents foreground color. Background hyphen color equal to red. This represents background color, right? But we shouldn't hard code it like this. We need to read that from the user. So string foreground equal to request dot get parameter foreground. Okay, and similarly string background equal to request dot get parameter background. Okay, so this is the foreground color and this is the background color, right? And this is the Java code, more importantly. So I'm going to include it within the scriptlet. And this is what you need to replace here, the foreground color. And this is what you need to replace it here, the background color. Okay, so now it's perfect. So whatever the color entered by the user for foreground and background, it will be applied here. Okay, so now let's quickly go there and test it. So I'll click on colors. So it's asking me to enter the foreground color. I'll say red. The background color, I'll say blue. Okay, render it. There you can see. Okay, so the foreground color has been painted red and the background color has been painted blue. Okay, so now apart from this, it's very difficult to ask the user to enter the color, right? So because what if the user enters by mistake an invalid color? So nothing will be rendered because that's an invalid color, right? So to handle that situation, no. So this Bootstrap have one wonderful, input field called, instead of input type equal to text, you can simply change it to input type equal to color. So then you can see what happens. Okay, there did you see that? So it will allow the user to pick the color. So rather than choose the color, it will allow the user to pick the color. So here there is no chance for the user to make any mistakes in entering the color values, right? So I'll say this is the foreground color and this should be the background color. And then render it. So there it is, like that. Okay, so but this very big horizontal bar is not making sense to me. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to remove this and then you can see how it looks like. Okay, click on colors. So there it is. So somewhat making sense, right? And before I move off from this topic, so this color picker, right? So it's not from our code. Okay, it is the browser behavior. So if I just copy that URL and so run it in a different browser, for example, in a different browser like Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, so there you can quickly check how it works like. I'm going to paste the same URL over there. I'll click on that. So did you see that? So here it's a different kind of color picker. Okay, so that's the behavior of the browser. Depending upon its capability, different browser will provide different color picker tool widget. Okay, fine. So I think that's all our client wanted. So in terms of sample application, okay, so we achieved what the customer wanted. Okay, so but the problem is the application that we just deployed, right? It is on our local machine. Okay, I have another machine. So we call it as a remote desktop. I think you know this concept. So it's a different machine residing elsewhere. Okay, so this is actually my another machine residing in US. So this is from my company. So I'm just going to log into that particular machine. So I wanted this application to be accessed by everywhere across this world, right? So I just logged into my different machine. So this machine, as I told, it resides in US. I'm remotely connecting to that machine from my local. Okay, so there I will try to paste that URL. Okay, so this is the URL that we are using to run the application, right? Click that. There you can see. Okay, it doesn't works actually, right? It works only in my local machine. So because that's where my code is residing, right? So now what we are going to do, so we are going to deploy this entire code, this entire sample application, we are going to deploy it on Amazon machine, and then let us see how any other systems can access our application worldwide. Okay, so now let us come to the most interesting part of this webinar. So let us log into Amazon Cloud. Okay, so the URL is aws.amazon.com. So this will take a lot of time, so I don't wanted to spend the time here on the webinar. Creating an account. Okay, so you will have to create an account in aws.amazon.com. Okay, so just go to aws.amazon.com, and you should be matured enough to see where the sign up button is. Okay, if you don't have an account, so just create a new AWS account. So if you already have an account, yeah, just log in it. Okay, so I have already created an account, so I am going to log in with my email ID. Okay, so I just logged into my Amazon console. Okay, so this is my Amazon cloud console. So you can do a lot of things in Amazon. So creating the cloud instance and deploying the application is just one among them, which I will be demonstrating, but it contains a lot of other features which we can explore it later on. Okay, so here let us create a machine first on the cloud. So I'm going to click on services. So there it is, you can see EC2. Okay, EC2 represents Elastic Cloud. Okay, I'm going to click on that EC2. So I'm trying to create a new machine on Amazon Cloud. Okay, so you can see running instances 0. So that means in my account, I haven't created any machine, any cloud instance I haven't created. So I'm just going to click on it. So I just clicked on it. Okay, you can see there is nothing. Okay, now I'm going to launch the instance. Launch the instance means creating a new instance. Okay, so here you should be real careful. So because the Amazon, when you create, yesterday I created an Amazon account, so it will provide me 1 year free usage. Okay, so you need to select only those machines which is applicable for that free trial. Okay, so you can see it is asking which kind of machine you want, whether you need a Linux 2, Linux AMI, RHEL, Ubuntu. So which one you need? So it is asking whether we need Windows machine, like that. Okay, so but generally when we talk about cloud, so we always prefer Linux family, right? So for that purpose, what I will do, I will create Ubuntu machine. Okay, so this is Ubuntu machine I'm going to create, and just ensure that it is applicable for free tier. Okay, if it's not eligible for free tier, then it will cost you. So but here they have clearly mentioned it is free tier eligible, so I'm going to select that Ubuntu machine. Okay, so here you can see, just ensure it is free tier eligible. So if you select any other configuration, right, it will cost you. Okay, so but this is free tier eligible, so that is checked. So I'm going to go to next step. Okay, don't do any changes in the configuration here. So the default configuration should work. So I'll go to next step, and do not add any additional volume. Okay, that will once again cost you. I'll go to next step. So even here nothing is required. Go to next step. Okay, so even this is good. Go to next step. Okay, so even no changes, just keep on clicking next. I'll click on launch. Okay, this is the screen where you need to be very careful. Okay, so here they have clearly mentioned you don't have any key pairs. You need to create a new key pair by selecting it. Okay, so because if you close off this window, right, you cannot download the key pair later on. Okay, so I'm going to create a new key pair. Okay, and this key pair, why is this key pair required, sir? So this key pair is required because I told you we need to establish the SSH and SFTP connection to our cloud machine, because if you don't have connection to your cloud machine, there's no way you can transfer the code from my laptop to cloud, right? You need that connection to be established. For that, we need that key pair. Okay, so any key pair name you can give. I'm going to give the key pair name as VKT. Okay, so and you should download the key pair here. So because without downloading, if you close off this window, right, so this window will never come back again. Okay, so they have mentioned it in bold. You will not be able to download the file again after it's created. So I'm going to download it. So I'm downloading the key pair. I'm going to save it inside my folder July 24, and the file name will be vk80.pem. Okay, I'm just saved it. Okay, just saved it. Okay, good. So now I'm going to launch that instance. Okay, so now you can see it says your instances are now launching. So now if you go to services and click on EC2, the new machine that we just created should show up there. Okay, you can see, just click on running instances. Okay, there you can see it's initializing. Okay, new machine, it's initializing. I mean, it's just booting up. So this cloud instance is nothing but a new Ubuntu machine, but it's not in front of me, it's elsewhere in Amazon cloud. So it's currently booting up. Okay, so till it is booting up, we need some configurations to be done on the file we just downloaded. Okay, let us go ahead and do it. Okay, so I'm going to be a little fast here, but once you are doing along with me by watching the video, you can just pause it and do it along with me and then continue it. Okay, now we have a PEM file, right? That's not, you know, sufficient, because this contains both private key and public key. So, but for connecting to my Amazon machine, I need only the private key. So that means I need to extract the private key from this, PEM file. How do I do that? So how do I extract the private key from this? So to do that, we have a software called Putty Gen. Okay, so which I have already uploaded to the Google Drive link. So which you can see it in the description of this video. So in that, insert the folder called software. So just download that Putty Gen. Okay, so just open that Putty Gen. Okay, so here, this is the window. Here you need to load that PEM file. Okay, I'm going to click on load. Where is our PEM file? Our PEM file is in our C drive, July 24. It's actually here inside July 24. Okay, but it's not showing up here. So that's because it is expecting a PPK file. So change this to all files. So there you can see a PEM file has been located. Okay, so just select the PEM file and click on open. Okay, so now it's successfully imported that key. Okay, from this key, right, you need to extract the private key. See, you have the option of extracting the public key and private key separately, individually, right? Now I need the private key. So I'm going to click on, save private key. Just proceed with that, no password required. So inside July 24 only, what I will do, I will say VK80. Just give the name once again, VK80. I'll give it as it is. Save it. And this is no longer required. Close it. So there you can see. Okay, so VK80.pem is the key which contains both private and public, but I wanted only the private key. So I made use of Putty Gen to extract the private key from it. So this is the key which will be used to establish that SSH and SFTP connection to our cloud machine. So how do we do that? So let us see if our cloud machine is up and running. So I'll go to instances, there it is. So you can see the status 2/2 checks. So that means everything is done. The machine is now successfully running. Okay, so you can see for our machine, a unique IPv4 address has been assigned, right? So this is the unique IPv4 address. This is unique across the world. Okay, so I'm going to copy it. So this is our IPv4 address of our cloud machine. I'm going to save it in my notepad, so that this I will be using it most of the time. So this is the IP address of our cloud machine, right? So now what I will do, I will have to establish an SSH and SFTP connections. Okay, so now let me update the status. Sample application development has been done. We just completed line by line, and then creating the micro instance is also done. You just saw how to do that. Now we are in the process of setting up SSH and SFTP connections. Okay, now I'll tell you what do you mean by SSH and what do you mean by SFTP. Okay, so SSH connection is the one which will give you the terminal access. Okay, it's a secured connection which will give you the terminal access because it's an Ubuntu machine, right? So how do we interact with our Ubuntu machine? Using the commands, using shell, bash shell, conn shell, like that. So that terminal access will be obtained using this SSH connection. Okay, so SFTP, it's a secured file transfer protocol. SFTP, secured file transfer protocol. So this will give you the file upload facility. So if you want to upload any file from my machine to my cloud machine, I will make use of SFTP. So if I want to run any command onto my cloud machine, because I cannot go to my cloud machine and run the command, right? I need to run the command from my machine only, but that command should be eventually executed on my cloud machine. So to do that, we have this SSH. Okay, so just remember, SSH is for terminal access and SFTP is for file upload and download facility. So why do I need this file upload facility? Because the entire code I have written here in the local machine, I need to upload this entire code into the cloud machine, right? So for that, we need SFTP. So why do you need the terminal access? Because the Tomcat starting, Tomcat stopping, all those things will be done through commands. That cloud machine doesn't have a UI. It doesn't have a front-end interface, right? So everything will be done through commands. So for starting the Tomcat, stopping the Tomcat, installing JDK, and all those things will be done through command. So for that, we need SSH. Okay, so these are just the protocols that will enable these things to be done. But there should be a software which implements that protocol to realize it, to bring it into reality. So those software names is Putty and Vncp. Okay, so Putty is the software which will implement the SSH concept to provide terminal access to your cloud machine. Winscp is a software which will implement SFTP protocol to provide file upload facility. So these two software we need to download. Okay, I have already uploaded those two softwares inside that Google Drive link, which I just sent you in the YouTube video description. Okay, Putty and Winscp. Okay, so these Putty and Winscp. So Putty doesn't require any installation. It's ready to execute. But Winscp needs installation. So just double click on Winscp, next, finish. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that. So before proceeding from this part of the video, so just ensure Winscp installation is done. Next, finish. Okay. So now let me show you how we can connect to our cloud machine. Okay, this is our cloud machine. Okay, how we can connect to cloud machine using that Putty and Winscp. So I'll just double click on this Putty. See what happens. It gives you some screen. Okay, where it will ask you, tell me the IP address of your machine. Okay, so let me tell that IP address. This is the IP address. That's all. Okay. Now, what is the username? We are logging into our cloud machine, right? What is the username? By default, the username will be Ubuntu. Ubuntu. So therefore, I'm saying it like this: Ubuntu @ the IP address of our cloud machine. Okay, this is the this is how you need to enter. How to log in? What is the password for our cloud machine? Remember, there is no password to our cloud machine. Instead, we have a private key to log into our cloud machine. So Amazon doesn't maintain any passwords because this certificate-based authentication is more strong compared to the password-based authentication. So we have to supply this private key to log into our cloud machine. How? Where to supply that private key? Here. Inside SSH, expand it, inside authentication. Okay. Here you need to browse that private key. Okay, so my private key is inside my C drive, July 24, vk80.ppk. Okay, so this is the file. I'm going to select it, open it. Now click on open, done. Okay, so any pop-up you get, click yes. So you can see it's authenticating with the key that I just entered. There it is. Okay, I have successfully got a shell prompt. You can see. So all the Linux commands, whatever you learned, so will be executed here. And these commands are not running on my local machine. Whatever command I give here, they are being executed on my cloud machine. So now I can conclude that I have successfully established an SSH connection to my cloud machine, right? So now let me establish an Sftp connection. So how do I do that? We need Winscp, right? So I told you Winscp is not readily executable file. You need to install it. So if you have already installed it, you can get it from the start menu. So from the start menu, I will type Winscp. Here it is. Okay. When you open Winscp, so it's also going to give you an interface something like this. Okay, so here it's asking this. You can see the protocol we are using is Sftp. Okay, host name, the same thing. So the IP address you need to paste. So where is the IP address? This is this one. This is the IP address of our cloud machine, right? So that one you need to paste. And what's the username? Username is Ubuntu. For the password, we don't have a password. Instead, we have a certificate. So click on advanced. So when I click on advanced, there it is, authentication. So there you can supply the private key. So I'm going to supply the private key, which is located inside my C drive, July 24, vk80.ppk. Click OK, click login. Any pop-up you get, click yes. Done. So there you can see I have been successfully authenticated. So what is the screen that we are seeing here? Okay, this is called Vinscp interface. So the screen you are seeing here, I have two partitions. So one towards this left. So hope you can see the mouse hovering. Left side partition and the right side partition, right? So this left side partition is my Windows machine. So where I can navigate to my C drive, my desktop, my downloads, all those things. Like this, you can see these things are my Windows machine, and what you have towards the right hand side is our cloud machine. You can see /home/Ubuntu. Okay, if you go back one directory, so you have many other folders. So now inside the root directory, you can see all Linux file operating system. Okay, so /home/Ubuntu will be the default home directory inside my cloud machine. So if I want to upload this any file, say for example, Apache Tomcat. Okay, so I need to upload my Apache Tomcat. So just drag it and drop it. That's it. So it all works on drag and drop mode. Okay, so if you want to upload any file to cloud machine, it's just drag and drop. So this facility is called Sftp. It's expansion Secured File Transfer Protocol. So you can see now on the cloud machine, inside /home/Ubuntu, I uploaded Apache Tomcat zip file. So can we see that inside our putty? Let us see. So pwd, present working directory, /home/Ubuntu, ls. There you can see. Okay, the zip file that I just uploaded using Winscp is now being shown here. Okay, so if you want to unzip it, you need to run the command from putty. But if you want to upload it, you need to make use of Winscp. So that's why you use this SSH and Sftp. So now I can say even this Sftp concept is done. Okay, so now I'll put a tick mark saying the first three objectives of our webinar is completed. Okay, so now let us move on to the next important thing, deploying the sample application on EC2. See, now we have a cloud machine. Okay, we have a cloud machine. We have a terminal access to it. We also have a file, upload and file download option to it. Now we will have to install our sample application into our cloud machine. How do I do that? So this sample application, as you people know, it is based on Java. So first thing you need is Java. I mean JDK you need to install within our cloud machine, because it's just a plain Ubuntu machine without any softwares. Okay, so we only have to install all the softwares from scratch. Okay, so let us install Java onto my cloud machine. So how to install Java on Ubuntu? If it's Windows, you will download it from Oracle site and you will just double click next, finish. But it's a Ubuntu machine, right? So how do I do that? You need to run a command, right? So what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to run some series of commands. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is sudo apt-get upgrade. Okay, what will this command will do? So this command will upgrade all the packages within my Ubuntu machine. Okay, so and then I'm going to do sudo apt-get update. It's going to update all the versions. So that the commands that I'm running on my cloud machine, I'm writing it in notepad file also, so that it will be clearly visible. Okay, so these two commands are a must. Okay, before you proceed anything. So all the old packages and all will be kept up to date. Okay, now to install JDK, you will have to do sudo apt-get install open jdk -8 -jdk -headless. Okay, so this is the command that you will have to type to install JDK. I'm installing JDK 8 because that's the most stable one. I'll copy that command, run it in our Putty. So remember, our Putty has been connected to our cloud machine. So any command I run here, it will be executed on cloud machine. So it is asking a pop-up. Do you want to continue? Press Y, hit enter. Okay, there it is. JDK has been installing on cloud machine. Okay, once JDK has been installed, right, the next command I'm going to run is sudo apt-get install unzip. Okay, because this is the tool utility we need to extract any files on Ubuntu. Okay, so I'm going to copy this command. I'll go to Putty. So it's still installing JDK. Let's give it one more minute. Okay, so now you can see I got the prompt back. So that means the installation is done. Now I'll paste it. Oh, sorry. I'll copy this command again. I'm going to paste it. So now the unzip utility has been, installed. That's it. So I don't need any more softwares. JDK and unzip utility are sufficient. Okay. Now comes another problem. Okay. So how do I copy this entire project onto my cloud machine? We know it can be done using Winscp. Okay, but this project will have multiple files, right? In this case, we have 5 JSP files. But in other real-time projects, you will you will be having numerous files, right? So it doesn't make sense to copy files individually, right? So we can group them. I mean, we can archive them into a single file. So how do I do that is, on this sample app, I'm going to right click and I'm going to say export. So this entire sample app that I have developed in my local machine, I'm going to export as a WAR file. Export it as a WAR file and save it in my July 24 folder. Okay, so I'm going to save that entire project, as a WAR file. So you can see once this save is completed, I'll go back to that July 24. So you can see I just got only one file called sampleapp.war. I just got one file. So if you open and see what is there inside that, see all the codes that I've written have been, archived there. So that's the typical way we follow. So when we have a lot of files, right? So archive it and upload it as a single file. So the sampleapp.war is the one which represents our application which we just deployed. Okay. So now before I proceed further, so I just wanted to confirm. I wanted you people to realize that the application we just executed, it is running on our local machine. You can see it is just running on our local machine. Now I will close off this Eclipse. I don't want this Eclipse anymore. Okay, so I just closed that Eclipse. Now if you refresh it, okay, so the Tomcat is still seems to be running in the background. So I'm going to open Task Manager and kill the Tomcat. Okay, looks like it's already killed. So I'm going to refresh it. So there you can see it doesn't run anymore because I closed off Eclipse, right? It doesn't runs anymore. So I don't wanted this kind of solution. I want my project now to be deployed on Amazon cloud. So anyone and everyone all the time will be able to access my application. Okay. So what have we done so far? So we just exported our entire project as WAR file here, sample app. So this WAR file will be meant to execute on Apache Tomcat. So that's the reason why I uploaded Apache Tomcat onto the cloud machine. How did we upload this Apache Tomcat onto cloud machine? Just drag and drop it. Okay, Apache Tomcat is already there in our cloud machine, but it is in zipped format. So now what I will do, I'm going to unzip it. How? So first do ls. Yes, we have Apache Tomcat there. Unzip it. Unzip APA. Just type 3 characters and press tab, tab key. So it will automatically take the options there. So you can see now the Apache Tomcat has been extracted. It's completely extracted. So there, if you go there and refresh, do you see that the extracted version of Tomcat has been placed there? Okay. Now go back to Putty. So because Apache Tomcat is something that you newly created now, right? It doesn't have any permission. So first thing you need to do is let me grant the permission chmod -r777 Apache Tomcat. So that means I'm granting all the permission to that folder so that the process can use it. Okay, so you can see by default the permission was like this. After refreshing, you can see everything got changed to RWX. Okay, now the permission is set. Okay, now what next? So the next step is inside Apache Tomcat, there is a folder called web app. Okay, so this is the folder which represents all the applications running on Apache Tomcat. Open that web app. Okay, so inside Apache Tomcat, inside web app, you just have to drag and drop your code. Okay, just have to drag and drop your entire code into web app. Where is our code? Our code is inside July 24. This one, sampleapp.var, right? So this you just have to drag it and drop it. So please ensure that you are dropping it into web app folder of Apache Tomcat. That's it. So that will complete the deployment of your project on Amazon machine. So now your project has been successfully deployed onto Apache Tomcat of your Amazon machine. But Tomcat is not started yet. So you need to start it so that the users can access it. How do I start it? So go to Putty. So right now we are in /home/Ubuntu directory, inside which we have Apache Tomcat. Get inside that directory, cd space Apache Tomcat. Get inside that, do ls. You have a directory called bin, right? Get inside bin directory. So inside now I am inside the bin directory of Amazon Apache Tomcat. You can see you should be in this directory /home/Ubuntu/Apache Tomcat/bin, because bin is the folder which will contain all the executables. Okay, here /startup.sh /startup.sh. That's it. So did you see the message there? The Tomcat has now been started. But remember, where is this Tomcat? This Tomcat is on cloud machine. It's not in your local. Okay, so Tomcat is started. That means this application is running. Okay, how to ensure this application is running? So just refresh this. A folder called sample app will be automatically created. So that means this project has been successfully deployed to Apache Tomcat. That's it. So that will complete our deployment of sample application on Amazon machine. But hold on, before I mark it as done, we need to access it, right? So that we will prove anyone across the world can access our application. So how do we do that? So what is the IP address of our cloud machine? This one. So I'll just copy this IP address. This is our cloud IP address of the cloud machine, right? Paste it in the URL :8080 because that's where the default port number for Apache Tomcat / name of the WAR file. So what was the name of our WAR file? Sample app. So just copy it and paste it. That's it. So just hit enter. Okay, so this will be the URL, so that can be accessed anywhere across the world, to run our project. Okay, but let's see. Okay, so looks like it's not, the request is not reaching the cloud machine. So this happens sometimes. Okay, so we will have to understand how to debug this. Okay, good that this at least came up now. So we will see how to resolve this issue. Okay, so for sure the Tomcat is started on our cloud machine, right? So we also confirmed that the sample app folder is getting created, but it is not accessible from a browser. Okay, so first thing what we will do is, so we will copy the IP address and check in our command prompt if that machine is reachable through by pinging it. Okay, so I'll just paste it. There you can see ping is not giving any data. So that means that machine is not allowing any connections to the outside world. Okay, so apart from this SSH and Sftp, because we configured it explicitly, right? So it's not allowing any connections from the outside world. So how do we solve it? Okay, so in Amazon, we will have to follow this step to solve it, right? This is the instance that we created. Okay, if you scroll down a little bit, so here you can see there is some security groups. Okay, there is some security groups. This is the place where all such rules will be maintained. Okay, so this security groups, I'm going to click on inbound rules. Okay, because it's not allowing any inbound connections, right? So I'll just click on that inbound rules. Okay, it says TCP allow everything. Okay, yeah, anyway, so I'll just scroll down here, security groups. Okay, so the inbound rules is only SSH. Okay, I'm going to edit that inbound rule so that it will allow everything. So I'm going to add a new rule so that it will allow all TCP. So because anything that we make request from browser is TCP, right? So I'll just say all TCP and all request. So allow all the request. So 0.0.0.0 indicates all the request. Okay, so this will, I'm going to save it. Okay, so this will allow all the request to that particular machine. Okay, so let me confirm it by clicking on EC2 again. Let me go to running instances. Okay, let me scroll down here. So let me now see the inbound rules. Okay, two things. So TCP, all the ports number are now been allowed. Okay, now go back to that page and try refreshing it. So there we go. Okay, do you see that? So now our application is accessed from Amazon machine. So you can see in my local Eclipse is not open, Tomcat is not running, nothing. So this application is running on our cloud machine. So on this particular IP address. Okay, let me quickly test it by entering the rows as 50 rows and 7 columns. Generate the table. Okay, there it is. You can see 50 rows and 7 columns. It is creating the dynamic table. Colors. Let me pick one foreground color. Let me say foreground color is blue, and let me say the background color is this one, and let me render it. Yeah. Okay, so there you can see it's working perfectly fine. Okay, so if you want to test it right away, so you can just open your mobile phones or any of your laptops and try to enter this URL in your browser, 52.15.156.17:8080 sample app, this application will be reachable from anywhere across the world. So I'm just going to copy this, IP address. Let me go to that machine which resides in US, my remote desktop machine, paste that IP address, hit enter. Okay, so did you see that? So that application is now accessible from India and also from US, so generally across the world. So because that is not installed on a local machine, instead this is now installed on a cloud machine. So even from the mobile phone, if you just open Google Chrome and just enter this URL, that will be accessible. Okay, so that's what our the agenda, the fourth agenda, deploying the sample application is on EC2, so which is now done. Okay, so most importantly, you should be knowing how to debug it. So because in the first attempt, it did not allow any inbound connections, right? So now it happened that you also learned to edit the inbound rules. Okay, good. Okay, so now coming to the last one, and which will not take much amount of time. Okay, so this is a web application. So whatever we just developed is just a web application which you need to access it through browser. Now the customer is asking me to come up with an Android application which looks something similar to it, which looks exactly similar to it, but it should be accessed through an app, not through a browser. Okay, so now you don't have to do the code actually. So because there are a lot of frameworks available online, so using which you can readily convert this web application into the mobile application. How do I do that? So just go to Google and ask the same question. Okay, so web app to mobile app converter. So I'm just going to do that. So there are a lot of sites that actually does that. You can see there are a lot of sites over there, but one site that I personally use is AppGeyser. Okay, so which I have used extensively. So I'm just going to show you the same thing. Okay, so I'll just open that first one, AppGeyser. So this will allow you to create an Android application from the deployed web application. And to do that, you should mandatorily deploy the application on cloud. So if you deploy the application locally and if you want an Android app, that doesn't work. So now I'm going to create an app. Okay, so for creating an app, okay, not this. Okay, so I'll just select the first one, web app. Okay, here it is asking me what is the URL for which you will have to convert that into mobile app, right? So I'll select website. So this is the URL which I need to convert it into app. So I'll just paste it here. This one. Okay, so I'm going to click on next, and it's asking to give a name for our app. So I'm just going to choose it as sample app, and it will ask you to choose the icon. So either you can choose the default icon, whatever it is giving, or if you have your own, you can upload if you are generating your own icon. But let me now choose the default icon, click on next and click on create. That's it. So you just have to sign in and you will be able to download the app. Okay, so there it is. You can see the APK is getting generated. So close off all the windows. If you sample app, download APK. So I'll just click on it. So it's building the app there. Okay, now you see the download icon. Just click on it. And you don't need this page. I'll just close it. So in the same July 24, I'm going to save it by name sample app. Okay, I think the download is completed. Let me go there and check. Okay, so there you can see I got an APK file by name sampleapp.apk. So this is the APK file which you need to transfer to your mobile phone and just install it. Okay, so your mobile app will be ready. So that mobile app will be having a look and feel something like this. So we are using Bootstrap, right? It will have dynamic like this. Okay, so the app will look like this. So where if you click on toggle menu, you will be getting our options there, and you can just access it. Okay, so that's how we convert our web app into the mobile app. So I'm going to mark this as done. So this will cover most of the agenda we had in this webinar, and it just took around 80 minutes. So I'm giving back a lot of your time. Yeah, I think that's it from my hand. So now I'm open for any questions or anything from anybody here. Please let me know.
Priyanka?
Yes, ma'am.
Priyanka.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Any questions, ma'am?
The questions I'll be mailing to Kumar sir itself, and we'll take the answers later, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next. Once a great man said, "No duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks." On behalf of Vivekananda Institute of Technology, I, Priyanka HV, Assistant Professor, Department of ISC, extend my sincere thanks to our resource person, Mr. Ashok Kumar K, for gracing today's webinar and sharing your valuable knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
I extend my sincere thanks to JES, our beloved principal, Dr. Kumar Kenchigowda sir, Vice Principal, Dr. D.V. Chandrasekhar sir, our beloved HOD, Dr. N.P. Netrawati ma'am, for their continuous support. Thank you. I thank all the participants for showing their interest in the program. So please stay tuned for further webinars from this channel. Thank you. The feedback link of this webinar will be sent to your register mail ID. So kindly please drop your valuable feedbacks. And there is one more announcement. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., we have organized one more webinar, and the title is A Roadmap to Realize Your Dreams. And the resource person is Sanket Reddy BK, Chief Mentor, Anargya IAS Academy. So I request all the participants to register to this webinar too. Once again, I thank all for making this event a very grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ashok.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving this opportunity.